from the second month of 1444, A Zodiacal Spread. Art imitates life, but 3, the Empress weaves her influence in throughout the changes of life. The serious attitude required of 0, the Fool, reversed, may be met with inactivity and strife. Then, the 7 of Peppermills, reversed, will just be embarrassed by the display. The joy of the 4 of Oysters is in what is possessed. Opportunity may then be too late for the Ace of Peppermills, reversed. The Queen of Flamingos fails in being ruled by malice. That is more to life for the 4 of Flamingos reversed, and it may take being indirect to recover. Coming in the night, 9, the Hermit, reflects on when to be known and when to cower. Rife with direction will be 11, Justice, as it should focus on a development that is its own. The structure is failing in 16, the Tower, and otherwise is what we, at the time, reject. The Knight of Oysters, reversed, may demand dignity and honor, but isn't advancing any further charge or climb. So, 21, the World, is in the promised land, but we still work to fulfill in spirit, mind, and hand. And what are your impressions of these cards? And
well, by listening about the cards there, and this just came out of the blue. A little note about artwork I just made. Artwork, what is considered artwork? Is there this artwork that hurts? Art can be good for, expanding one's mind, but, the mind has to also keep its place. It's got to know its limit. If something hurts another person, that is not good, no matter what, or how much the artist benefits. If artwork by the artist, is hurtful, then it's really not beneficial whatsoever.
Not entirely sure where we're going here from, but art imitates life.
That came out of the blue.
What?
That came out of the blue. Artwork.
Art imitates life, but 3, the Empress, weaves her influence in throughout the changes of life. And I guess as far as this series, we have the Tantra is, okay, this going out and this weaving of identity, whatever, it's more or less the same. But the Empress is the cyclic the cyclic sort of version of the lineal emperor card. And of course, it's the mother, where the mother, and well, in this case, probably you would think grandmother, right? Now it kind of makes this deck kind of makes me want to read the books.
That just made me think of this card that I recently got. It was an extra. There was 2 extra cards in the deck, and I call this the grandmother card.
Because what you have,
That
you
was
have the
one
10 of cup, you have the 10 cards. And is it
um,
one of the 10 cards is the family card?
yeah, I've got the 10s and fortune.
So this one here, the 7 of, then the 7 of peppermills reversed will just be embarrassed by the display. And so art, not for art's sake, but then again, if art is like, yeah, whether something's art or not is more important than, you know, it being for doing actions for themselves. But art for art's sake has the thing, it's like you're wasting your time just expressing something. And if you're not careful of how you're expressing, that messes up not only what you actually may do, but it can mess up with how you're, because you feel like you have to do, you know, because you've seen it particularly with someone that we've you know, individuals and movements and stuff that we've talked about, that they wanting to be boisterous and like put on display. Like, I mean, why can't it be like the backs where you have an order and it's just part of the structure? But see,
Exactly.
so the peppermills is sort of the willful sort of thing, and it's like he's just shaking about and using stuff to use stuff. It's wasteful. And it's like how many people online they put on makeup or a costume or whatever just so they can cry or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
So, okay, the serious, the fool might as well. The serious attitude required of 0 the fool reversed may be met with inactivity and strife. Now, there's different things that can happen with mercury poisoning and stuff, but you know, the idea with the Mad Hatter, because the Mad Hatter had too many teeth fillings and the mercury in the fillings and all that sort of stuff. Can't go in too much to that because medical information, it's going to hurt me. But the yeah, mercury's bad for you. Don't fall for dude online that got pulled from YouTube. Partially not because of a different religion, but telling people if you put mercury in with resin, it's a really powerful form of orgone. It's like the mercury's going to be there forever. Some of your followers are going to come mentally challenge or something. But so he's like right on the cliff partying, and some hedgehogs like, no, calm down, dude, you're too high. And I don't know what the deal is with this. In this safe 10-6.
Watch your footing.
So yeah, there's less implied.
Yeah, definitely. He's standing on the edge.
So 21 the world is in the promised land, but we still see work to fulfill in spirit, mind, and hand. And of course, we see her in this grid. In the Thoth Tarot, if you look at this card, the Thoth Tarot, the world card, has very specifically this little diagram that's supposed to represent the known elements at the time. And it's straight out of this one book. And there's also the reference, you know, how many circles and stuff like this are supposed to be represented in the circle around the woman. No, I meant the world card, but
I'm sorry. My mistake.
But she's all alone, like I don't know, it's gonna be surprised by something, I guess. So the Knight of Oysters, you know, that red knight character in the Arthurian myths, right?
Yeah.
What is he? The Knight of Oysters
Kind of neat.
reversed may demand dignity and honor, but isn't advancing any further charge or climb. And I saw somebody called out online about if you don't command such a honor and dignity or whatever, something to that effect for yourself, what do you expect? How do you expect others to react to you with?
Right.
Good
point.
Of course, the oyster is the world card, and the Thoth one, he's like, you know, master the fields, basically. Like the rider that can just charge through what, no matter, you know, you get these 3-foot tall weeds and stuff like this, but this guy just rides through them, or sometimes taller, whatever. So I think we have a tower card here. The structure is falling in 16 the tower, and otherwise is what we at the time reject. And so the material world, we got to use the material world, but the material world isn't it. And what does he do? Is he throwing the rabbit? It's like, no, rabbit.
Right.
But to get beyond, you still have, because doesn't Alice follow the white rabbit? So the white rabbit is the guide. You're trying to get beyond the guide, but then you're not going through the process of the guide. Like you have in India, in this general sense, maybe you have these 5 stages of love, vying for divinity, to give it some non-specific idea, whether you're monotheist or polytheist or whatever. You have the servant master level, you have the friend of God level, you have the parent child level, you have the spouse level, and then you have the socially inappropriate level. And so many people just want to jump to being I am socially inappropriate, but I love God. That's it. It's like, well, then you don't love God as much as those who are just who are doing what they should do and not doing what they shouldn't do. That's a higher level than just trying to jump and pretend like you're automatically at the top, because everything else along the way, where people in charge of you, where you're in charge of others, part of that first level is your you know, it's done for divinity. It's done according to its terms, etc., etc. And then same thing with other stages: how you treat your family, how you treat your friends, how you know. And of course, if you actually get conscious awareness of a spiritual guide, and as I've seen with other people, spiritual guides that are lying to you all the time. I mean, come on. You got to know that that's not the right one.
Right, definitely.
Seeing a video and somebody's all like, well, my guides lie to me all the time, but that's not the point.
That doesn't make any sense. Really? I would definitely wouldn't want to listen to somebody, you know, that would claim that. Definitely not.
So we got here, rife with direction will be 11 justice, as it should focus on a development that is its own. And, well, you learn to stand on your head, and you learn the definitions, and perhaps it kind of implies that the way that he's up in the ceiling and stuff, again, he's connected to an order, but
he's coordinated.
What you do, it's got to be for yourself. It doesn't matter if you're following along in another path. If you don't actually hold the conclusions yourself, if you don't actually do the deeds, you know, because nowadays it's so more than ever, even though it's not Pauline Christianity, it's not following what the Bible says of Jesus. Of course, that differs a lot from Pauline Christianity in itself, but so they come up with this other thing where it's like, as long as you claim Jesus, you don't have to be a good person. It's like, where'd this come from? Except like something.
It's that easy.
Did some guy invent it when he was locked up so people wouldn't blame him when he got out? Or it's like, don't worry, I'm a good Christian. You know, I make these mistakes from time to time.
Reality is so much harder. Reality is much harder, but that's okay.
Okay, the Hermit.
Hermit.
I mean, it's their choice, but yeah. Coming in the night, the Hermit reflects on when to be known and when to cower. And of course, one of the things that one may remember when we went over the cards before, October. So the first month in the, you know, in the darker half of the year, that's fully in the darker half of the year, is the Hermit card.
Hermit.
So you're, you know.
I like this card.
But this guy, see, he's fully out in the open, but he's just concealed. And you know, that guy's he's got his light out there, and so he's going out like that. I'm reminded of that bit in the Quran that can relate to the Hermit card. It's because the time will come and people will be like, why don't you share some of you know, share some of your light? It's like, but you're supposed to develop your own light. And it's like, so, and finally those who had it, well, that's it. You know, there's the distinction made between them, because how is it fair that people who work things out and those who chose not to work things out are going to be treated the same? That doesn't make sense in this world. Why does it make sense otherwise, right?
Exactly.
Now I agree with like the Rig Veda and stuff like that talks about how you can actually make repentance and amends and stuff like that yourself. But
yeah,
the idea that it's not, you know, it's like Luciferianism. Luciferianism isn't necessarily that you become the new Jesus for a bunch of other people. It's like, no, maybe you set an example that others can work with or something, but it's not, you bring out your own light, you live your own life, you figure out what's best for your own life. You know, it's got to be done for yourself.
Yeah.
And even, you know, even, and to throw away some ideas against these people who like that say that, oh, you can't do anything new. And it's like, well, if you're following the principles, it doesn't matter whether you're doing things new or things old. It's like one of the things that Muhammad, for example, told people is he told people that if you find a use, if you find a rightful use of one verse, there's more reward in that than reading the whole than reading the whole scripture through. To find one good use of one verse is but more important than reading the whole thing through. But then people are like, I don't know the example of somebody who knew Muhammad during his life that did this. It's like, that doctrine doesn't come from anywhere except your you know, other people said it. But so we got the 4 of flamingos. Where's the 4 of flamingos? Oh, the 4 of, oh, might as well, the 4 of oysters. That's what I found. The joy of the 4 of oysters is in what is possessed. So many people are like, oh, I've always thought of more I can have. And that's what I saw this morning, is this person crying, I thought I had everything I wanted. And it's like, okay, maybe, yeah, maybe you should, you know, but you know, it's not working. It's not working. I live in a big house on my own and it's not helping me. And it's like, yeah. You know, I knew a couple weeks in that place wasn't, you know, person wanted more.
Yeah, material possessions can never, you know, bring.
But you gotta use what you have and give it the spiritual consciousness. Half this stuff you read about rituals, like the Vedic stuff, really talks about all these details for rituals and stuff. But the whole thing is that you employ the spiritual consciousness in your life. That you're, you know, you're eating. You're lighting your fire with, you know, putting oil to start in your fire to start it. That sort of
all
stuff.
Throughout the day.
You know, it has
everything. It's like,
and of course, and then you connect the meaning of each thing to these to entities, to its roles, to its goals in your life. And then you don't get upset. You don't get upset.
It don't slow you down.
You don't get upset in that case when you don't have all the
Right.
right so-called things for your rituals.
Yeah.
And so we have the, okay. There is more to life for the 4 of flamingos reversed, and it may take being indirect to recover. And remember how I talk about path
That's
working
interesting.
and grimoires and stuff like this? Because people look at a grimoire and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I like this entity and I'm going to do this working. It's like part of the thing that's implied is you do other ones along the way for a reason, because there's stuff that's worked on onto the side that you don't think is as important, or maybe you don't know. And maybe there's stuff that you work on that you don't work on in the area that you think you need to work on, but you work on it in other areas. And
Well said, yeah.
well, his sleep cap is over his head. One of the things is like people would save on the if heating bills are expensive and you're not, you know, you don't need to turn up your heat to 70s or something in the winter. You know, you can wear a hat. You can wear, you don't have to dress like it's the hottest days of summer in your living room, just to whatever. And caps, nice soft caps that don't pull your hair or whatever, are a nice way to go.
Speaking yeah.
It's like I save in
Speaking of
heating
heating,
when I go to bed and I'm like, you know, have
yeah.
something over my head like that. It's,
I read-
you know, you can have the you can have the place, you know, 10 degrees colder or so.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Queen of Flamingos fails in being ruled by malice. So if you're drive, it's okay to, what's the phrase, hate evil and ignorance. Oh, she looks like a chess piece, don't she? She looks like the chess piece.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah.
You know, because what's the thing in the Alice in Wonderland thing? The woman who the woman who like plays games, swinging the animals about to bash things and whatnot. It's like,
Mhm.
and this hateful, just going after people and whatnot. And it's like,
Yeah. That's never good.
because then it becomes just absorbing. The purpose and function of the whole thing becomes lost. Now, if yeah, when it comes to criminal justice or something like this, okay, you can hate the deeds and all this stuff. But when you start hating people, then you need to hate them beyond the deeds. And then if they're innocent, you still hate them. And or if they
It
haven't done
was-
anything that bad, they're just, you know, maybe headed in that direction possibly. And
it
so
didn't-
we got the Ace of Peppermills. What's the opportunity may then be too late for the Ace of Peppermills reversed. And I don't know why such a big deal about the Peppermills, unless that's just what they couldn't think of.
But
Because I find it hard to believe that I don't remember the books or something, but I find it hard to believe that the Peppermills were such an important part of the story.
yeah.
It just
I would-
doesn't seem like that was what the thing is. Now, okay, so we can like probably what's the word? Okay, before each equinox and solstice, so you know, like the middle of the month of March, December, June, September would be the 10 of whatever suit. And so starting in March, we would have the 10 of cups. And then in June, we would have the 10 of wands. And we'd have the 10 of discs in September. And we'd have the 10 of swords.
And then 10 of swords in what month?
Oh, in the middle of December. So right before the equinoxes and the solstices, we have the 10s. So the 10 of discs in the Crowley card, we have the, you know, you have all those things on the, and don't you have an extra Mercury? Just like, but I would put the extra Mercury in my one series, I put the extra Mercury and I doubled up around the, but you got the Mercury energy to start things over. Because typically you would have starting with the left shoulder, and then you go down the right elbow, and then left elbow, pelvis, right hand, left hand, knees, feet. So you'd have earth, moon, going up, you'd have earth, moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. You'd have the premium modal, you'd have the, then maybe you have the zodiac, and then you'd have the beyond, but then maybe you'd have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, whether Pluto's the head or Pluto's the center of the chest. It depends on how you're thinking of that, but so just like the princess, you have the energy to start the system over again. And so what is the 10? And oh, and isn't that the family card? Isn't that some of the decks you have the 10, and the 10 is where the guy sits down with his. Yep, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, there is the 10 commandments. I'm not saying that the Bible, that's not what the Bible's saying, but what do we have there? The commandments really were, okay, get married, have sex, have kids. Those were the 3 commandments that are the first things listed as what you could call commandments in the Bible.
Right.
Well, I mean, you don't have, and they don't go, don't touch the tree.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever was on the tree doesn't matter. That's not the point of the story, because people argue about, was it pears or was it apples? And it's like, it's probably neither.
Right.
And
it could have been a fruit you didn't even know about, or
this guy's just a god on all fronts. I don't believe in this nonsense that you just have too many thoughts or some silly thing like that. I just don't think that's I don't think that's really what the thing is. So we have a negative card there, and if anything, I think too many emotions, that would be something too, right?
Right.
So we have also the 10 of Cups.
I dropped it.
So yeah, that's just a complete system. But of course, there's like an implication too. There's an implication with like, why is the center of the chest the center that's theoretical, right? Pluto's beyond a lifetime, so Pluto's the symbol of that. That makes most sense to me. And Pluto would be the we can put on the cards. Uranus would be the fool. Neptune would be judgment, the ion, and so would Pluto be the hanged man? So because that's the transpersonal thing. And then you got the 10 of Wands, which is also considered a negative card. Because you're just so overburdened, you're trying to carry 10 tent poles at once, like an idiot.
Yeah, there's like a lot of
and you
things
can hurt
going
yourself
on
too. And I know you're thinking maybe somebody will steal some, but honestly, if you can go back and forth quicker,
moving smaller piles.
Yeah. A lot of little, it's like little thoughts, little scattered thoughts, and a lot of things to figure out.
And understanding the shapes and stuff with the tarot card deck as some sort of a talisman. One of the things when I don't know, when there's a program tonight at 9 that I thought, okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll draw a tarot deck. I'll draw this one. I have a book that I'm reading. And if I draw that book, I mean, if I draw the cards in the book in my own simplified way, I guess, it will give me a sense of it. And it will be working out of it. But you know, the patterns and stuff that you see in a particular deck, yeah, they form something that you can work with in that sense. You know, you don't have to be an expert artist or something. Just a simple ordering of what's there. And